there. So I wanted to show you how to read a chord chart when you are trying to read new chord shapes and how to play them. This is really important because you could basically pick up any book or find online chord charts for new chords you want to learn, and by knowing how to read a chord chart, you can actually understand where to put your fingers on the correct frets and the correct strings so you can actually produce the sound of that particular chord voicing. So what you're seeing is a picture that represents the guitar neck. That's that grid looking image, and then next to it obviously you're seeing your left hand. So if you're playing a guitar in a standard way as a right-handed player, this is your left hand, and your fingers are numbered. So 1 is your pointer finger, 2 is your middle finger, 3 is your ring finger, and 4 is your pinky. And that will be useful because it'll indicate where you put your fingers on the frets as we show it in the grid, which represents the fretboard of a guitar. So, and if you're a left-handed player, that's fine. Just think of it the opposite way. So, with your other hand. So same thing. Pointer is 1, middle 2, ring finger is 3, and your pinky is 4. You'll notice on the grid, the thicker black bar at the top is really the nut of the guitar. That's where the strings rest at the end of your guitar before they get to the tuning knobs. So that gives you an indication of where you're at on the guitar, and you'll see in the next image what that means. As you can see here, this represents the strings of the guitar, the vertical lines. And so under that big thick nut black bar at the very top, your strings are the vertical lines going from left to right across. And then I've listed in there the string note names, the standard tuning string note names, so you know which those are. And going in the other direction, the horizontal lines represent your fret bars. And so this will help you understand which fret is, you need to put your fingers on which strings to produce the chord shape that you're trying to learn. And sometimes you'll see to the left of that very first fret spacing on a chord chart right under the nut, a number, and that really just is a way to indicate what fret you are starting on as you're reading this chord chart. So in this example that you're seeing on screen, it's 3, so that means that first fret from the nut to that first horizontal fret bar, that is representing the 3rd fret on your guitar neck. So that's where you would start placing your fingers on the strings. Here's an example of a chord chart for the G5 2-note power chord that we've learned in some previous lessons. And as you can see, it's indicating that your first finger, your pointer finger, is going to be on the 3rd fret of the low E string, and that your ring finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the A string, and that's your number 3 ring finger. So this is how you read a chord chart, and this is that G5 chord that we've learned in some of the previous lessons that you've already viewed on this channel. So that's the G5. We'll take a look at some of the other chords that we already learned too. Here we're looking at C5 power chord, and again we're on the 3rd fret, and your pointer finger, your number 1 index finger, is on the A string of 3rd fret, and your number 3, your ring finger, is on the 5th fret of the D string, so just below that A string. So that voicing together in that shape is the C5 power chord. Here's the D5 power chord, and now you'll see that we're starting at 5th fret, and so your number 1 index pointer finger is on the A string at the 5th fret, and number 3, your ring finger, is on the 7th fret of the D string, and that's a D5 power chord. And finally, in the previous lessons, I taught the G, C, and D chord progression through these G5, C5, and D5 power chords. And then we threw in an A5 as kind of a bridge chord progression, the A5 to the C5, and then ending on the G. So you can go back to that lesson and look at that. But this is the shape of the A5 power chord. So again, starting at 5th fret, number 1 index pointer finger is on the low E string at the 5th fret, and then your ring finger is at the 7th fret on the A string.